Federal prosecutors have identified young Miami in Diddy's charge documents, so it appears that the girl is on the run. Had been attempting to keep her distance from Diddy after Cassie backed out of the lawsuit, and she seems to have been attempting to make us forget completely how Diddy and her going really well together. However, when she was conducting the entire rebranding process, the universe delivered a UNO reversal to her. Because Diddy was just charged with grand jury's federal charges, and the people on the streets claimed she was featured significantly in the litigation, particularly when it comes to a certain hot room tasks requiring baby oil, if you catch my drift. This appears to be Miami is not standing by to see Diddy go to rumor around the streets regarding her incarceration gone underground, since she is aware that she will be the next target of the feds. It's a heated mess. But let's take a moment to put it down, kid. All I know is that Miami is somewhere. She wished she had never engaged with Diddy as a result of this lawsuit become more problematic than it worth. Prior to Diddy's revelation, she utilized to boast that she would never have to abandon him or release him, and how she would be ride or die for him. But it appears as though she chewed off more than she could chew due to her constant use in Diddy's legal actions. And to create things worse, among the things she mentioned previously are returning to bite her in the rear due to her own statements are linking her somewhat to Diddy's offense. For instance, in Cassie's court case, that Diddy would supposedly pimp. Moreover, she stated that Diddy claimed to have madams that could assist him choose female employees and other women, for he introduced her to SA in what he called freaks. That the government also produced claim in their indictment directed towards he appeared before the grand jury, and based on the legal documentation arrives, along with other members and associates enterprise, employed the comms prestige and power of the job that comes at the comms operations to frighten and intimidate and entice women to become victims orbit, often pretending to be a comms, then uses a love relationship, compel, threaten, or use force against cause victims to have prolonged sexual relations performed in a male-only advertisement that called, among other terms, freak. Offs it went on. Weird offs happened frequently, occasionally lasting many days, and frequently included many commercial employees at freak-offs. Comms dispersed an assortment of controlled drugs to victims, partly for their own. The victims cooperative and submissive at times. Victims are unaware of this. Combs saved the footage he took of the victims having sexual relations with commercial employees following comms, and the freak off. Usually, sufferers were given IV fluids to recuperate after the exercise. When it comes to light fans in use, put two and two together right away, and thought Miami might have purportedly served as a facile fact viewers of the freak offs. There isn't concrete proof, but it appears that Miami once put Diddy's other side project in danger. Jenna Hun, with what seemed to be an oddity separated a few years prior. Jenna and Miami participated in it on social media as a result of arguing about Diddy. Arguing over a man who was always sleeping is undoubtedly option. But these two have continued to battle social media a few occasions because of Diddy, who on this particular occasion, Jenna shared a photo of Diddy cuddling on the cheek. Miami became agitated, claiming that Jenna was hankering after she said, "Gina, you've been down awful ever since I entered the scene. You've been wailing for a child for 10 years. You have existed for years as a bee that consumed P and D whenever he feels like it. The same bee that was sobbing will consume you. On Tasha K, because you want a child. Bads too," she said. "You want a baby bee. I've made you a certified freak in my career. Diddy hasn't communicated with you since the honors evoking memories of getting rid of babies move past that pain. If I were Chun-Li desired for you to consume me, Diddy would have had you bow down. You a food being, you a munch, yes. That does sound a little strange, especially in light of Miami's threats pushing Diddy and her to make Jenna be sa. It caused weeks of driving in Miami, with those claiming that she participated in Diddy's behavior, even if it wasn't actively participate in the freak. Shows the people on the streets claimed she may have been aware of what was happening, but she decided to disregard what they have to say. Not mine. Lil Rod's made things worse. Action in which he said that she was purportedly moving drugs for if Diddy wants one or two. He was aware of who to contact based on the court records, pleas, and the arrival of Rico. Enterprise was practicing something. At the Virginian Festival, the court filing clearly reflects Jones's personal saw Mr. Combs perform a couple lines of his dressing room's nose sweets. Shan Combs, the defendant, desired to, but Brenda neglected to mention it, hence defendant Christina. Young Miami was contacted by Coram, who then took it from Miami in a private aircraft. The record continued by stating that young Daphne Joy and Miami Jade received a monthly payment to serve as Mr. Call's employees and were paid by wire change from Robin Greenhill, which described the defendant's current criminal operation, suggesting that Miami may deeper than we initially believe, and given Diddy's recent indictment, things are just going to get worse from this point on. For those who are unaware, Diddy was recently charged with federal offenses. CNN was first to disclose that the federal sought to get an indictment against a few months back. Diddy stated federal detectives are getting ready to presenting music mogul Shan Diddy's accusers appearing before two federal grand juries. People who are acquainted with the inquiry say CNN, indicating to the U.S. Department of Justice is approaching the possibility of looking for, and they continued, an indictment of a con. That potential witnesses may have informed by detectives that they might be called to provide testimony in front of the New York City federal grand jury, citing one source as bringing those who have submitted civil litigation against Combs in front of a grand jurors would significantly escalate the case. In the continuing inquiry pertaining to the manufacturer and founder of Bad Boy Records, when the jury decided to prosecute him and give the child, the charges are not good. I'm chatting about the court records reveal Diddy's purportedly menacing and manipulative women, pressuring them to share personal space, then, in addition to putting them through physical aggression. According to the document, the defendant's acts of physical aggression were current and well known on many events, starting at least in 2009 or about, and carrying on for years. Ladies, by in addition to striking and dragging, kicking, and hurling things at them, these events were occasionally seen by others, with one case occurring at a hotel in Los Angeles sometime around March 2016 that was recorded on camera and subsequently made public, where Combs pulled, kicked, and hurled a vase at lady as she tried to get away. When one of the hotel security personnel employees stepped forward to help Combs make an effort to bribe employee M to make sure. Moreover, silence caused aggression was not only these ladies, but also his staff members as witnesses to his and others. For those who are unable to recall the event they're talking about here, this contains the Cassie video that disclosed a few months prior, where in a motel there, Diddy touched her. Around the time, there were rumors that the feds purposefully leaked the footage. Therefore, it appears that there might be some truth about it.
By CNN appears to corroborate some of the allegations against music mogul Sean Diddy Combs. The video, captured on multiple cameras, shows Combs his then-girlfriend, Cassie Ventura, in a hallway at a Los Angeles hotel in March 2016. A lawsuit filed by Ventura in November last year and settled the next day referenced actions that seem to...
And in case you're wondering why no one else mentioned it before Cassie, it's because Diddy is said to have intimidated them into members. The paper stated in quiet, and Combs Enterprise Associates, featuring the communications security staff at carried weapons on many occasions, event arrives himself born or show off firearms to frighten and threatening others, such as those who are victims of and witnesses to him. In March 2024 or thereabouts, during searches of the homes of the Camels in Miami, Florida, Los Angeles, California, legislation authorities seize weapons and ammunition, including 3 defaced AR-15s, the serial digits, and a drum. Additionally, the journal stated when staff witnesses to his or other threats, the authority or prestige of Combs and associates and members of the enterprise participate in violent crimes, dangers from threats of financial violence and reputational damage, and these activities verbally. The violence comprised abduction and, moreover, several times, arson, searches through things and people, as well as pushed, chomped, and dragged others in order to illustrate how a lot of trouble Diddy leads. A prominent PR consultant provided us with an overview of the situation.
The extreme of what we see in our investigations, our takedown investigations on True Blue with, predators who come into our stings. This guy is the ultimate groomer, according to this indictment, allegedly, if all these allegations are true. He set it up. He had a fantasy. He couldn't resist this fantasy. He had to fulfill it, and he had the means and the contacts, the power and the money, the access to pull all this together. Now, here's a guy who's a mega music producer. A lot of people depend on him for their celebrity, their success, everything else. So he holds a lot of this power over their heads. Then you introduce the alcohol, the drugs, the notion that if you go along with this, you're going to be someone. The notion that this is just part of this out there extreme lifestyle that we have in this business. And it became acceptable in his mind. And so the fantasy becomes reality. And then you have this major event that is likely videotaped. So the predator, being Combs in this case, can relive it and show it and brag about it and experience it over and over again. It is so typical of a predator.
Then a lawyer gave us a breakdown of how the case is likely to play out in court.
The government generally, approaches these individuals. They say, hey, listen, you can either be on, the defendant side of the case, which we'll be more than happy to add you to this racketeering charge, or you can be on the state side or government side of the case, and we would give you immunity for XYZ. Why you saw different things coming about.
He also revealed that a lot of people who were involved with Diddy's shenanigans have turned on him and are now cooperating with the Fed.
Understanding is that there was a lot of individuals that were involved. And I think by looking at the indictment and seeing that only Sean Combs is the only defendant currently, who knows if that increases and it gets superseded with a different indictment. But currently there's only one defendant. My guess is that all of those individuals that could have been co-defendants or could have been co-conspirators or could have been involved in a RICO case have flipped on Sean Combs, and they're getting some sort of...
We now have to question whether Young Miami was among those who turned on Diddy, because if we're really sincerely, that man posed a threat. Documents also alluded to how bizarre, according to Diddy, the Fed took around 1,000 infant oil bottles from his dwelling well. The streets are now claiming that Young Miami and Diddy purportedly used a little of the baby oil in the midst of one of their meetings, especially considering how close Diddy and Miami was. Moreover, the entire freak-off business, it's not unexpected that there are rumors on the streets that Miami, maybe she flew into hiding as a result of her refuses to participate in this social standing, is unstable enough as it is, and if she becomes more and more entangled in this, its fans said it was over for her. Did he possess 1,000 baby oil bottles and lubrication? What a gigantic freak that boy is. Very likely included a young Miami, youthful Miami with a honey bun appearance. It's crazy to be a baby oil bottle girl. Young Miami and Meek Mill soaked in infant oil to pit one against the other and did the FEDS diss. And did he flip out? 1,000 baby oil bottles for the season's finale from Diddy's estate is simply strangely such as, dude, where's this endorsement deal? You didn't just purchase everything because of strange gatherings for 3 years, did you? Hey, let's hear what you guys think about this. Then read this next in the comments. Footage.